Hello, welcome to the National League Wild Card pregame show presented by the Ultimate Sports Show. I'm your host this evening. My name's Aaron, along with my other co-host Steven. As always, great addition to this team. Love talking baseball here. We get another wild card game, and this one is right here in Los Angeles. It's Los Angeles Dodgers versus the St. Louis Cardinals. That game is coming up later on at 5:10 today on TBS. Obviously, got to start not just because I am a fan, but also because of what they've been doing, what the Dodgers have been doing this year. Steven, Dodgers, one of the best starts of the second half that I've ever seen a team have, period. 42-14 is unheard of. The home runs have been there, the offense, the pitching, they've been through injuries, which we'll get into as well for their side of it. But I mean, they've averaging also, like, the biggest shocker, I think we were talking about earlier before we went on, was they've averaged 7 or more runs in the last 15 games. Like,
so nuts.
Who does that? But that they just have that star
Yeah.
firepower.
It's effortless. I mean, they make it look easy is what I mean. I mean, it's frustrating because obviously I'm a Padres fan, so it's hard for me to say a nice word about my division rival. But I have to say, I mean, you got to appreciate greatness. And the problem is, unfortunately, it's not just the Dodgers, but it's also been the Giants. I mean, legitimately the two best teams in baseball in the same division. But if we're just talking about the Dodgers right now, like you said, I mean, it's unheard of what they're doing the second half of the season. They score so many runs, and it just wears out opposing pitchers because there's no weak spot in their lineup. I mean, before we went on, I was talking about it. I mean, they have legitimately maybe one player a night that's hit less than 100 hits this season in their lineup. I mean, if you're an opposing pitcher, you've got to be on every single time you play the Dodgers. And it's a long season. Baseball is, it's a sport of matchups. And right now the Dodgers are a matchup nightmare, regardless of who they're going up against. So I'm excited for this game. I really am. I'm excited to see the Dodgers play because I think this is going to be an opportunity for them to prove that they are, as good as the Giants legitimately, and that they can beat the hottest team in baseball right now, the St. Louis Cardinals. Because as hot as the Dodgers have been, arguably the Cardinals have been just a little bit better the second half of the season, especially as of late. Just a little bit, yeah.
Just a little bit, Just, when you've won, 17 straight games, and let's not forget, like, where the Cardinals were, too. I mean, if you look back, if somebody, like, Steven, if someone would have told us the Cardinals would have clinched and made the postseason back in August or even in July, I think I would have looked at them and said, Are you nuts? Have you lost your mind here? Because it's like, you just see where that team was. Like, nothing was working for them. Their pitching was bad. Their hitting was bad. They just went through, like, the worst slump I've ever seen. And obviously, I mean, don't get me wrong. Teams are going to go through a slump throughout a season. Like, that's very common. Everybody's going to go through a slump. But I just feel like the Cardinals just got off to such a bad roll that they needed to have their only chances to get in the postseason was to have an absolutely crazy second half. And I feel like any team that comes out there and wins 17 straight games, which I think they broke every history record that they possibly could have, go out there, and obviously the Cardinals have their big pieces. I mean, everyone knows they got Nolan Arenado, Paul Goldschmidt, and obviously Yanni, man. I mean, those guys right there, they've always showed up. Obviously, Dodgers have had history with Arenado and Goldschmidt as well as from the Arizona days and from the Colorado days. So, these are both familiar guys that know what it's like to play against the former division leading Dodgers. So, I will say props to the Giants. Congratulations for winning the division fair and square.
Mhm.
But I honestly think this game is full of so much firepower on the offensive side. Like, I mean, we'll get into the pitching because obviously we got the two probably oldest guys in the National League, and it'll be a great matchup, obviously, with Scherzer and Adam Wainwright tonight. But obviously, you got to look at the offensive side of both teams here. The Dodgers have had Seager going here. Trey
Mhm.
Turner, Mookie Betts, Justin Turner, obviously Will Smith as well. Been on a roll. I mean, they've literally contributed to this team, and what their offense has done this year is just incredible. Obviously, as well as what the Cardinals has been doing too. These guys have all everybody's been neck and neck battling every game, every series, and I just think it's going to be a very great game. What do you think about this offensive side of things?
I mean, okay. I guess where I have to start would be a little bit
Yeah.
of a negative. Obviously, injuries are part of the game. I don't
Yes.
want anybody to get hurt, but Max Muncy did get hurt, and that's,
Yeah.
we have to point that out. Set that aside for a second, though. With arguably their best offensive player out tonight, they still have probably the best offensive lineup in all of baseball. So I mean, it's just such a testament to how deep they are. And it's one of those things. I mean, I said this when we were talking about the Red Sox. I think it's one of those things where and I really do believe this. I'm not saying that the Cardinals are really like top heavy, but when you look at Goldschmidt and Arenado and Yadi or Molina, like these are guys. I mean, you have a 39-year-old Yachty and two really productive ball players, and then a lot of good ancillary pieces with the Dodgers. I mean, you've got heavy hitters. I mean, you got Justin Turner, you have Mookie Betts, you have Will Smith, you have Corey Seager. I mean, these are all guys that are going to produce offensively, and it's just going to make it really, really, really hard for the entire Cardinals pitching staff, because I do believe that they're going to have to. This is going to be an entire pitching staff win. It's not just going to be it's not just going to be one or two guys, but like you said, I mean, talking about the Dodgers offensively, I think the key to the game for me from the Dodgers end, it's hard to pick just one, but
Yeah.
Mookie Betts has always been a great postseason clutch player, and I think that you're going to see him come up with some clutch hits tonight. So I would say if I had to pick from the buffet of good choices, I would say that I'll go with Mookie for my standout offensive player on the Dodgers end.
Um, I honestly, um, for the Dodger side of things, I would go with my guy. I would definitely say Will Smith. It's a tie really between Will Smith and Trey Turner. Obviously,
Mm-hmm.
congratulations to Trey Turner for a National League batting title. Well earned, well deserved. Incredible, incredible player. And he's just going to keep getting better and better.
Yeah.
I would say honestly, if I had to pick two guys, I'd probably even say Smith and Trey Turner, because those
Mm-hmm.
guys really have been powering it. The Dodgers haven't had a guy that's been a power hitting catcher since Mike Piazza, maybe.
Yeah.
It's been a long time since they've had someone back there that, as a battery mate, they can sit there and say, "Hey, I could produce as well as be a great catcher as well."
Mm-hmm.
On the other side of things too is can't I got to go with Goldie on the Cardinal side too, because obviously 294 with a 365 OSP,
Mm-hmm.
it's or OBP, is crazy. He's
Yeah.
he's absolutely he's 514 in slugging this year, and it's crazy because he's just doing what he does. And I mean, look, he's not the same. I'm gonna go out there and hit 40 home runs still, but he's a guy that still obviously he's been a Dodger killer in the past.
Mm-hmm.
But I definitely will give him props to say, look, I expect him to have a good game, as well as Arenado as well. But I think it's gonna be a close game the whole way through.
Yeah, I would say just as sort of a dark horse producer, I would say Tyler O'Neill, the left fielder
Oh
for the
yeah.
Cardinals. He's a really, really good offensive player, but he's very streaky. So I think that during their 17-game win streak, he was producing. If they can get a little bit of production out of him, I think he could be one of those guys that might just have a surprise outing tonight. But I have to go back to it. Yadier Molina is 39 years old, and to look at the season that he had is
Oh my
crazy. I
God.
mean,
Yes.
this guy, again, he's still one of the best catchers in baseball, and on top of that, the guy still. I mean, yeah, he hit 11 home runs, but he's got. I mean, he hit over 100. He had over 100 hits. He's batting 252. This guy, just like I said about Mookie, this guy has had clutch postseason moments his entire career. And if I have to, if Goldschmidt or Arenado they don't get it going, I would look to Yachty to just sort of if he can dig deep into his bag of tricks and he can pull something out, I think he would be a guy to look at because I don't like betting against him, even old
Yeah.
guys. I mean, I feel like in all the sports, whether it's baseball or football, I don't like betting against these 40-year-olds that keep producing in the postseason. So
You learn the hard way about betting against them, and I mean, I think it's fair to say, obviously, we haven't mentioned it too much, but look, the probably the two oldest guys that are going to be playing in this game tonight is Pujols and
mhm.
Yachty, and I mean, they're the two. Obviously, they're brothers on and off the field. I mean, those guys will give each other the biggest amount of crap they can do. But I mean, they're both well respected. They're both going to go in the Hall of Fame once they retire. Obviously, I think everyone knows though, Yachty's defense is spectacular still at his age and what he's doing. I mean, I think everybody's learned around the league. It doesn't matter how old your arm might be. Don't
Mhm.
you try to even think about stealing on him because
Mhm.
the
Mhm.
guy is throwing out more people than probably can be imagined on how his defense has been. So I think honestly though, related to I know we mentioned about Max Muncy. Unfortunately, I know he got hurt in the game. There's been no word on when or if he'll be available throughout the playoffs if the Dodgers proceed to make it past the wild card game. Steven, how does this affect the Dodgers though? I mean, obviously Muncy has had such an incredible season this year. He's just been on fire with hitting the ball. I mean, look, he's got 36 home runs.
Yeah.
His average hasn't been completely there, but obviously 94 RBIs as well. But he's one of the heart and soul pieces of the Dodgers. You gotta. I think it's going to be a matchup of who's going to play first. I mean, the Dodgers obviously have Pujols as well. They could play first. They have Cody Bellinger. They could play first. They have
Mhm.
Matt Beatty. They could play first as well. But in your opinion, do you think it's just going to be matchup by matchup? If obviously the Dodgers keep going, do you think they're just
Yeah.
going to play a matchup game with the lefty righties?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it's you guys have the ability to do that. I think that's the thing with the Dodgers that, like, like you said, you have. I would go, yeah, three legitimate options at first. So I would just play with matchups. You know, I'm going off of the assumption that you guys are going to make it past this wild card game. That's not to give away my prediction too soon, but yeah, I'd say that you look at the injuries to Max Muncy and also to Clayton Kershaw. I think that you know this is kind of, I wouldn't say a blessing in disguise, but this isn't a negative to me because if you get this win with other players on the team being productive, I think that strikes more fear in opposing teams where it's like, oh, okay, so you don't need arguably your best pitcher or your best offensive player to beat the hottest team in baseball. That's going to give other teams cause to pause. And then, like you said, I mean, even if you don't even use, if you can't, those players aren't available in the ALDS, I definitely think they're going to be available if you make it to the AL, or I mean the NLCS, if you make it there. So it's one of those things where I I I don't think it affects them too much, honestly. That's my opinion. Although, it's easy to say from the outside looking in, but I kind of think it's almost a good thing because it gives, like you said, I mean, you look at Trey Turner, this gives him more opportunity as well in the rotation.
Yeah.
So, it's, I don't know. I think it's a good thing.
So if I'm the Cardinals in this case, obviously the Cardinals, they're going to come out hungry. Um,
Hmm.
Cardinals have had, obviously they know, they've had success against the Dodgers in big games, and obviously in the past, obviously
Hmm.
relating to Kershaw.
Hmm.
Regarding Clayton Kershaw as well, we want to wish him all the best as well. Hopefully he is able to pitch. I mean, a lot of people have been saying for a while now after his first round of injuries, it says, look, he's done. He's had his moments. He's too hurt to play. He's just, unfortunately, it's a rough side of being a pitcher, is just either maintaining the body, and it's just about the little nagging injuries that unfortunately he had to deal with, and I know he got pulled out of the game. And obviously, you want to see someone like a legend like him. Obviously, you don't know if this is his last year as in a Dodger uniform. You don't know what he ends up doing or how they end up going about it. But in this case, we hope to see him out there the rest of the way. Obviously, should if the Dodgers move on to the division series game. But let's get in the Cardinals here. I mean,
Hmm.
how if I'm the Cardinals, what do they? What's their main focus then going into this game today? How do you stop the Dodgers from hitting? Obviously, they're a home run. I think they led the National League in home runs this year.
Yeah.
And they obviously not only just in the fan, and not only just leading the league there, but obviously in their attendance as well, which is spectacular as well. It's good to see a
Yeah.
full Chavez Ravine again. But how does the Cardinals snap the Dodgers and honestly shut them down tonight? Like, what do they have to do to really stop this team?
I mean, I've been asking myself that question when it came to the Padres playing the Dodgers all year, so it's tough. No, I'd say I'd say the best opportunity the Cardinals are going to have is going to be with their. I don't think that they have the pitching to to keep this a low scoring game, unfortunately,
Yeah,
because I think that's sort of the best case scenario for any team trying to beat the Dodgers is to try to just shut them out and keep it a low scoring game. They're going to have to just open it up. I mean, it's going to be a lot of damage control. It's going to be, you're going to have to just try to leave players on base. But you're going to have a productive offensive night. I think this is going to be a high scoring game. I think it's going to be Nolan Arenado is going to have to be on. Goldschmidt's going to have to be on. O'Neill, Molina, all of these guys, you're going to need to see runs. And to be honest, I hate to be pessimistic, but I don't think that they have the ability to do that. I mean, their only option is going to be to try to score early and often and just continue to pile it on because the Dodgers are going to, like you said, they're averaging 7 runs. I would
yeah.
say the over under on them scoring 10 runs tonight, I would put money that they I mean, I'm sorry, but I think they're going to score more than 10 runs tonight. That's just me. I mean, I don't see an opportunity for the Cardinals pitching wise for them to just to hold them to a low run total. But I'm curious, what do you think? I mean, if you're having to shut out your Dodgers, what do you think the Cardinals have to do?
I think honestly, if they're trying to shut down the Dodgers, obviously, you have to get them to swing and miss. The Dodgers
Hmm.
have had the most lowest chase percentage in the league for the last 4 years, 5 years, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
Um, Obviously, Max Muncy has been the biggest key factor to that. He's the lowest swing and miss guy on the team and lowest chase rate as a player as well. So I think honestly, if I'm the Cardinals, I'm gonna go after them. I'm gonna try and pitch inside. Obviously, if you're trying to, the shift. I mean, I feel like the shift has unfortunately did the Dodgers did the Dodgers some good favors, some bad favors. I think it's going to be one of those where if you're going to play to the shifts, play for them to hit the ball right into the shifts, take away some of their extra at bats. They love working the counts.
Hmm.
Try and go after them. Don't hold back here. Don't pitch around them. Adjust your game as you need to. They honestly love to rack up the pitch counts though. I mean, that's how they get in. That's how they get under your skin. If you want to go out there, you got to dominate the strike zone. You got to shut down Mookie. You got to shut down the first four guys right there: Mookie, Seager, Trey Turner, obviously Cody Bellinger if he's out there, or Albert Pujols, depending on who plays in that game. But you have to neutralize their bats because their bats have been red hot. I feel like that's how you beat them as well. Not so much their pitching. Obviously, their bullpen has been phenomenal. For the scenarios that they've been dealing with, obviously, we know about the Trevor Bauer situation, which
Hmm.
is still a situation, and that's all we can leave it as for now. But it's they've been adjusting their games. They have guys out there that are going to be hungry for that. They're possibly potentially going to have David Price pitching out there as well if they need him to. And if it comes down to a scenario, Kenley Jansen, obviously, if he doesn't have his stuff either, Cardinals can make him pay as well. So I think it just comes down to it is if you're going to attack this Dodgers team, attack them. And I feel like if it's the other way around, I'm gonna go. If I'm the Dodgers, I'm gonna go after Wainwright. I'm gonna make him throw as many pitches as I can. Get him to throw like a 25, 30 pitch first inning.
Hmm.
Um, get guys on base, get bases loaded, get possible scoring plays going. Don't necessarily. I mean, they're obviously the Dodgers are gonna go probably for the home run dingers because that's just who they've been, and they hit the most home runs in the National League. So obviously, I'm not gonna be surprised to see that. And I think it's gonna be semi close. I think it's gonna either way. I think in the end, not just because I am a Dodgers fan at all, but I just think we have more. I think that there's more talent under them than the St. Louis Cardinals.
Yeah.
I got them winning this game. I mean, I got them winning this game 5-3.
Okay. I mean, look, I think it goes without saying. I mean, Adam Wainwright's 40 years old. I mean, now granted, this is the only thing that I think the Dodgers could get themselves in trouble because I think the Dodgers they need to, you have to walk that fine line.
Yeah,
You have to plan ahead for potentially your next series. So like Max Scherzer, you don't want to have him out there longer than he needs to be. So, I would say, the only challenge is if he's got his stuff going tonight and you pull him early at the risk of resting him for the next series, that's where you might run into problems. The Cardinals have nothing to lose. A 40-year-old pitcher, they'll keep him out on the mound for,
yeah,
they'll keep him out there as long as he needs to be because it's like really the only other pitcher, Reyes, who, I mean, is he a reliever? Is he their closer? I don't know. I trust him, but those are really the only two pitchers on their pitching staff that I trust. I mean, I don't know. Like you said, if I'm the Dodgers, work the count. The runs will come. If you want to swing for the fences, swing for the fences, but just tire them out because this is a war of attrition. If you tire them out and you just continue, like you said, you have 25 pitch innings, 30 pitch innings. By the time it's the fourth or fifth inning, this guy's going to be so. I mean, look, I don't want to disrespect Adam Wainwright because he's one of the best pitchers, over the past few years.
oh yeah.
But this is an old guy you got on the mound here. So it's like, let's,
Battle of two old guys though.
yeah,
Two
this
old.
is a matter of two old pitchers here. So it's going to be sort of who can tire out the old man on the mound first kind of thing. So, and I have more faith that the Dodgers can do that because, like you said, this has been their MO all season. They work the
Yeah.
counts, they make the pitchers work for it. And I just think that that's a recipe for disaster if I'm looking at it from the Cardinals' point of view. But like I said, I mean, you have it more low scoring than I do. I really think the Dodgers. I'll go conservative off of my prediction. I'll go the Dodgers win this one 10-4.
10-4.
Yeah,
All
I
right.
just I see the Dodgers just I really I don't see the Cardinals pitching. I think the flood once well, like you said, I mean maybe it goes scoreless into like the third, but once Adam Wainwright gets tired, it's gonna be just open season.
Yeah, and I honestly I think they're gonna play it as, you know what, obviously if they end up scoring more, if they the Dodgers end up putting up double-digit runs or really putting this one away,
Hmm.
and we're already at 5 innings, and this game is pretty much a wrapped up, done deal game. I do like what you said about probably the Dodgers saying, "Look, I don't. We don't need Max to go out there and throw a complete, throw a 7 innings, 8 innings,
Yeah.
and he's gonna sit there and already have a great. He'll hopefully, have a good game as well. And I'm not gonna be surprised if Wainwright has a good game as well, or just honestly, I think it's gonna be the battle of old guys. Here, the
Yeah.
the old guys are in the show here, and whatever happens, happens. But the Dodgers have the talents of having David Price out there too, and I think that's exactly, obviously, if they choose to have him. But I think that he's going to be out there, and he could spot start if they needed him to spot after the 5th inning if the game is put away. You can have David
Hmm.
Price throw 2 innings if you need to. They have a bunch of other options like Alex Vesia as well. They have Phil Bickford. And obviously Blake Trine, Joe Kelly, and obviously their closer is Jansen. So they have options as well. They have more options than the Cardinals do, and I think that's where the Dodgers, if their bullpen is locked down the rest of the way, if they have a lead at all, they're going to ride out Scherzer if they need to. And if not, it's going to be the bullpen the rest of the way. That way, I think it would set them up. If the Dodgers win the wild card game, I think it would set them up probably for Walker Buehler or Julio Urias to pitch game one of the division series. That's how I'm seeing it.
Well, and yeah, but my question to you would be,
Yeah.
where do you think Scherzer pitches in the division series if they make it? Because I think you want him to pitch. I know it's pressing, but I would say you want him to pitch game two, which falls on Saturday.
Yeah.
So I would say, because if you save him for game three, I don't know. I would say the key to postseason pitching for me is to be aggressive. But if you're too aggressive in the divisional round, then you might run into issues, come the NLCS. But like you said, I mean, at the earliest, he would be pitching Saturday. At the latest, he would be pitching a week from or Monday the 11th. So he's going to get plenty of rest, and we're talking about them like they're old. I mean, he's 37. He's still a very productive pitcher. But
Yeah.
I think that this is the problem that the Dodgers have right now is their goal is to win a World Series. So you're trying to plan ahead. You're looking ahead because it's like, this is not, we want to win the wild card and go home. This is where do we need to go to win the World Series? The Cardinals, it's just, we just had a crazy second half. We just got to win. Just win,
Yeah.
baby. Do the Al Davis thing. I don't think there's a lot of planning going on in that clubhouse. It's just, let's just throw the kitchen sink and hopefully win this game. So I think that these are two very different tactical strategies from the manager's perspective. And I think that one, it's going to be a great game. I'm excited to watch it. But two, I just think that like you said, the Dodgers need to be careful, because if they score as many runs as I think they're going to score, it's going to be a lot of, okay, we got to take our foot off the gas and start resting guys, because they need to look ahead to their next series.
Exactly. And honestly, I mean, if they ended up not having Scherzer pitch in game two, then I think is, obviously, in baseball, to slowly to start wrapping things up. We're getting closer to the game time here,
Mm-hmm.
but I'd say if anything, the Dodgers, if you push them back to games 3 and 4, those games are at home. Obviously, it's a whole different ball game. Perfect atmosphere if that's the case. And obviously, we'll get more involved with that to see what happens. But I like how this game is set up. I think this is a great statement. Obviously, I think it's an awesome experience for Pujols and Yachty and
Mm-hmm.
Wainwright to all play against each other, and a game that's going to matter. And it's good to see Albert getting one last shot around for the postseason hopes. So that's going to do it for us for the National League Wildcard pregame show presented by the Ultimate Sports Show. Game time's coming up 5:10 today on TBS. Make sure you check it out. We're almost time for the game, guys. Enjoy it. We will talk to you after the game with our post-game show afterwards. For Steven and myself, my name's Aaron, guys. Thanks again for joining us.